The other one's not that hard. They're all quite a lot of features. That doesn't mean it. No.
Hello, folks. David, Trinae, Aria, Marilyn, Victoria, Kyla.
Okay.
All right, we're about to do our final rhetoric practice. I'm not going to plug into the screen if you guys don't mind, but it's on Canvas. It's literally the last thing posted. It is already published, but I am going to share my screen with you guys. Oh, I think I mentioned this last week during the one about diction. I think it was diction, where there was the quote about how she was while she was like listening to her mom as she made dinner, she was cushioned thinking about it was the Jane Eyre thing, and it, like, compared their two lives, and it said like the cold English manner and the cold English gentleman. And I think I said one of my former students gave the best answer I've ever heard to this, and it was Ollie, if you guys know Ollie. And he wrote in the first, at first she's talking about a manor, M-A-N-O-R, and the second one she's talking about his manner, M-A-N-N-E-R. I was like, that's so clever. Very clever. Always a clever human. So today we are doing our final one, and it is based on imagery. And we're looking at this very short poem. I'm actually not sure if this is the whole poem, or it's just an excerpt from the poem, but it's by William Carlos Williams, who is known as an imagist poet, which means all of his poetry is meant to conjure an image in your mind. It's very like sensory. And this is called The Last Words of My English Grandmother. And the poem says, there were some dirty plates and a glass of milk beside her on a small table near the rank, disheveled bed. Wrinkled and nearly blind, she lay and snored, rousing with anger in her tones to cry for food. Sounds awful. So your two questions, the first one, you'll notice there's this chart here. And it says these stanzas contain visual, olfactory, auditory, and gustatory images. You gonna ask me what two of those words mean?
Yes.
Yes. Visual, we know. Olfactory, yes, is smell. Auditory. And gustatory is taste.
Whoa. Well, I feel like an idiot now.
I don't feel like an idiot. I knew what you were going to ask because that is a normal thing to ask. And like not everybody knows olfactory or gustatory. And there won't be 5 for each category, but just go through the poem and list the concrete images in the category. You might think some are more than one category, and that's okay. And then the second one, contrast the attitude toward the old woman in the 2 stanzas. What's his attitude towards her in the first one? What's his attitude towards her in the second one? How does it change, and what images create this change in attitude specifically? So then you have your application question. I really liked what some of y'all, actually a few of y'all did a really good job on this one last week. But there were a couple of really good application questions. Think of a group of young people cheering at a sporting event. I know it's been a long time since we've been to any kind of sporting events, but I'm sure everybody has probably been to some type of sporting event. Write a paragraph, and it can be short. These are obviously like the ones that they use are stanzas, not paragraphs, describing them in a positive way, and then write another paragraph describing them in a negative way. Use at least 2 types of imagery in your descriptions, meaning visual, olfactory, auditory, or gustatory. So you might talk about what they look like, what the stands look like, what the players look like. Olfactory, like what you're hearing. Are you hearing the cheers of the crowds? Are you hearing booing? Are you hearing alarms going off to mark the end of the period, or depending on what sport it is, period, inning, quarter. Yeah, I was like, what are these sports words? Sorry, I meant auditory for that one. Olfactory. Maybe you smell like concessions. Maybe you smell like if I were doing this, I would write about when I used to go see Bevanuti play hockey all the time, and the smell of these men's hockey equipment is disgusting. And it's like 100% the smell I think of when I think of hockey. That hockey smell is gross. And gustatory, again, like maybe concessions, depending on where you're placing your paragraphs, like where you're setting them, you might have different images. But those are your 3 questions to do for today. This should be very easy to finish. I am a little surprised when people don't turn in this kind of exercise, which at this point of the year, I probably should not be surprised when anybody doesn't turn in anything. But this is so quick and easy that I don't know why you wouldn't just go for it, you know? But that's just me. Once you're done, those of you who are virtual can leave and work on your podcast project. I'm delighted that a couple of y'all have told me you're very far along with your podcast project, so that's great. I think I mentioned this the other day, but I went ahead and put in on PowerSchool, like all the other assignments that you will have for the rest of the year, with dates on them. So you can kind of see when things are due, but also that's not for a while. I had a couple of kids get on to me because they were like, I went on PowerSchool and saw that I had all these new assignments and I thought that I was missing stuff, but you weren't. Hi. So just so you know, we'll have more time, obviously, after the exam to work on the podcast project, but then we'll have a couple other new projects too. So good to get as much done as you can. So, my God, I'm gonna turn my stuff off and you folks holler at me if you need me. You folks also holler at me if you need me. But virtual folks, once you turn this in, you may leave and work on your podcast project independently.